I said this earlier. Laker fans are like, man, that's ugly. And I'm like, no, it's kind of how they're going to win. Tough defense, get to the free throw line, hit your free throws. This is old LeBron, best AD I've seen in years, and then you cross your fingers.
Yeah.
I mean, Jared Vanderbilt had no points. They
Right.
didn't want D'Angelo Russell near the ball late in the game.
True.
Last night is kind of how they're going to have to win, is it not?
Yeah. No. We have a text string with the Speak crew, right?
Yeah.
And they were like, please don't give us I don't want to see another game like this. And I'm like, if you want the Lakers to advance, you got to see at least 4 more games like this because that's the only way that they're going to win. And LeBron was awful for the better part of the night.
Yeah.
He made 2 plays at the end, the 3 at the end of regulation, and then
pass.
the drive and the kick to Dennis Schroeder for the big 3 in the corner. But other than that, I mean, they made their run to get back into the game in the third quarter when he was on the bench.
Yeah.
The mythology of LeBron James at this point is far greater than the reality of LeBron. He's still a very good player.
In spurts.
In spurts.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to be able to do that? So, essentially, LeBron closed out. He was the better closer than Mike Conley, Kyle Anderson, or an exhausted Anthony Towns.
Yeah, Conley and Cat were great early.
Yes.
Great
yes,
first half players.
Yes. But you get to the fourth quarter, and the Lakers did dial up their defense, and they couldn't get a whistle going to the cup. People are like, why did they stop driving? Because when they drove, they weren't getting a whistle. So they started settling for jump shots, and Anthony Towns was exhausted. So ultimately, the Lakers were good enough to beat the Timberwolves, which I expected them to be. It's just hard for me to imagine if that is their game, what we saw last night.
And it mostly is. Let's be honest.
It is. And it has been, right? And it's been good enough to beat the teams down the stretch that they faced.
Average teams narrowly.
At best.
Yeah,
right?
A lot of Utah, Chicago, Orlando wins.
Exactly.
And Suns without KD.
Exactly. That's not hating on the Lakers. That's just having a clear-eyed view of where their success has come from and grading their success. And again, the Memphis Grizzlies, you mentioned it earlier about youth not being served in the postseason. And that's my one concern about them is that they are a young team. But sometimes your talent, the talent disparity is so great that doesn't matter. And that's where, again, can the Lakers keep it close enough where LeBron can give you a few magical moments and still get it done? That's going to be the challenge. They were exhausted against Minnesota. Minnesota doesn't even play that fast. Memphis plays one of the fastest paces in the league.
They do. So yesterday, as a steward, America's honesty broker, I have to admit when I drive home and think I'm a little too hard on somebody, and I generally am talking about young kids. So I don't want to be too hard on young guys. So we got into this debate yesterday. I said I'd take Jalen Brunson over Trae Young to build my franchise. But then I'm driving home, and I'm thinking about it. Well, Brunson, a second-round guy, played at Villanova, 3 years in college. He's older.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this. From the day Steph Curry and Michael Jordan stepped on a college campus to the day they got to the finals was 9 years. Trae Young's 24.
Yeah.
Top 10 scorer, led the league in assists. And you watch him last night, and are we picking him apart when he came into this league 1 year out of high school, not fully formed, and we're just watching him develop in front of our eyes?
Yeah, no, it's fair from a talent perspective that we're not giving him enough credit for what he is. He continues to impress me.
He's a big game player.
And for as undersized as he is, he's figured out how to be a 3-level scorer. That's impressive. The issues with him and the Atlanta Hawks is not just talent. It's personality, and it's the fact that as good as he is, if you're not going to play any defense, then you need to be able to score and score against anybody. And he can't do that. There's certain matchups where he just struggles. He'll continually shoot, but he's not going to score, or he's not going to score in an efficient way.
He's a little Steph and a little Dame, but neither. But he's a little of both.
Exactly. And from everything that I'm hearing, and I've heard it enough times that there has to be truth to it, it's a matter of a lack of leadership. Guys just don't like playing for whatever it is.
But you know what?
The locker room's not in love with him.
Let's be honest. Let me defend him here. So Jalen Brunson's a better leader, but Jalen Brunson plays at Villanova, which the whole culture is built, Jay Wright, on leadership and toughness. Sure. He takes 3-star guys, they stay forever, and they come out like grown-ups.
Sure.
And he literally goes and gets blue-collar kids, and their dads are cops, they're tough guys. He coaches them hard.
Yeah.
Trae Young's a kid. He's a star. 1 year at college. They baby him because he's so good. Off to the NBA, and then we're like, you're 24. Why aren't you a leader? First of all, it's a land of beautiful people in Atlanta. He's a rock star. He's got people fawning over him. He's not a leader. So go sign leaders. Surround him with leaders. You're not going to be a leader.
Yeah.
At 24 years old, I was walking in hallways in college pulling fire extinguishers out. Come on. He's a kid. Am I wrong?
I'm still trying to wrap my head around a guy in L.A. saying that Atlanta is the land of the beautiful people.
Atlanta's got great-looking people.
No. I love Atlanta. My wife's from Atlanta, so I know all about that. I just,
but you're asking him to do. It's like asking it, like when you ask this international player, Giannis, why aren't you going to leave Milwaukee? International players feel indebted to their first team.
Sure.
So that's who they are. You can't ask a one-and-done kid in Atlanta getting rich, hey, where is your leadership? He's not reading those books.
Understood. But can you get Trae Young to take a step back now and say, no, you're not that guy? Like, you'll be our scorer.
How about go get him a Chauncey Billups? How go get him a grown-up? Surround him with grown-ups. Quinn Snyder's a smart guy. How about surround this young, talented guy with, like, the right people?
That's a fair point. And they went and got DeJounte Murray instead, who is also a great talent.
But
not the most mature player. So you make a fair point.
I sound like a dad today.
Yes. But here's the problem. So you get a new coach in there. You get a new GM. Are they looking to rehab the old guys' pick? Or are they like, now, you know what? Let me start from scratch. That more often than not, they start from scratch. So I know they've denied the
way,
rumors.
Another mature guy, Steph Curry, 3 years of college. Another mature guy, Damian Lillard.
Yep.
The guys that we look at as like leaders, LeBron's a complete outlier. It's generally guys who went into a college program, stayed 3 years, were coached hard.
Well, here's the thing, too. LeBron went to got his school in Miami. He wasn't a great people are revisionist history now. You can ask anybody on those teams in Cleveland when LeBron first got there. He wasn't the leader of those teams. It was the veterans. James Jones was one of them.
Yeah.
Eric Snow, another. Like, people are going to laugh. They're going to be, Eric Snow, a leader. I'm telling you, they were the leaders. Then he went to Miami, and he watched Dwayne Wade, his buddy, firsthand, show him what it was to be a leader. And he learned, as he has. Like, I give LeBron all the credit in the world that he has evolved both in his game and his leadership and any number of fronts.
Yeah.
But we've got this, again, the mythology of LeBron as he came in whole, and he remains whole now, and it doesn't match reality.
Yeah, well, Michael Jordan's got some mythology, too.
I'm not arguing that. Okay. I'm just saying.
That's why you didn't get
We're talking about the present.
For the second time.
Yeah, clear.
Okay.
Apparently.
Okay, so here's a question. So I'm going to throw this at you.
Okay.
You're a sage when it comes to the Warriors.
Shawshank Redemption, by the way, is one of the movies you forgot.
No,
and Dennis Hopper in Hoosiers. You got to mention that when you're mentioning Hoosiers.
Yeah, great movie.
Yes. All right. Sorry to disrupt, but it's been bothering me since I was standing over there listening to this blue chip conversation. Good Lord.
I mean, blue chip. That's a great movie. I'm not even sure if that's a good basketball movie. All right, so let me throw this out there. So we know the Draymond Jordan Poole clash created some chemistry issues. We know that.
Yes.
Steve Kerr was mad the video got out. Not sure he was mad about the punch. Poole is very immature.
100%.
You hear constant shade thrown at him. If you listen to the comments, when Steve says, we played dumb tonight.
Yeah. He's talking about one guy.
One guy.
Yep.
So, but he is valuable. But here's what's interesting. They bring Gary Payton back, who's going to be huge against Sacramento.
Yep.
He's a great defender, and De'Aaron Fox shut him down.
Yep.
So now Poole's numbers are going to shrink. Kuminga's been playing. Wiggins coming back. Kuminga's numbers coming down. So a team that's had a little bit of a chemistry imbalance, I think Kerr's got a lot on his plate here. He's going to have to pull back Poole's numbers, add Payton, pull back Kuminga, who's starting to play real minutes now. Wiggins, this feels like this is going to be, forget the winning the game thing. Are there some chemistry TNT situations here with the Warriors?
I would be worried about that if it was any other team than the Golden State Warriors, led by Steph Curry and Steve Kerr, because they demonstrated it all last year. Don't forget, Steph Curry willingly came off the bench, not 1, not 2, but 3 games for Jordan Poole at the beginning of the playoffs. And as the playoffs progressed, Jordan's role diminished.
No question.
Each series, and it did not get in the way of the team getting the job done. Okay. So when your best player sets an example, I will do whatever is best for the team, even if it means coming off of the bench when I'm Steph Curry. After the first game, if he wants to start, he starts. But he's like, you know what? Jordan's got it going. Let's let him get it going. Let me work my way back in. I just believe that Steve's going to, if he needs to play Gary more than Jordan, he will play him. If he needs to pull Jonathan back, he will do it. Like I believe that the leadership there and their success, because and this is the huge difference. This is the advantage that the Warriors have that nobody else has. It doesn't mean anything if you make those sacrifices and you don't get the ultimate prize. But when you make the sacrifices, when Jordan Poole plays less in the finals, but you get a ring, you're like, hey, trust us. We know how to do this. And you're like, I can't argue because you got us there. And that is a very powerful thing that, quite honestly, other than Milwaukee, nobody in the league has right now.
So, your MVP.
Yes.
Are you uncomfortable with that discussion?
No, actually, the awards. I'm uncomfortable with the awards because I looked at who I put on my All-NBA teams, and I put Anthony Edwards on my second team.
And he can't
And I
shoot.
apologize to Domantas Sabonis, who I put on the third team as a result.
Okay, yeah. Not great. But here's the thing. I'm not an awards guy, so I don't care. I really am not. Jokic, to me, is more an efficiency player than, he averages 22 a night. He shoots 60%.
Yeah.
I don't think he jumps off the television screen. He doesn't carry him in the playoffs, but either does Embiid. So give me your basic, because he doesn't play a ton of games, not as many as you'd like. Your reasoning for most valuable player for Embiid is?
Because he was, it's pretty simple. He was more dominant than the other two players when it comes to their teams. You know, everybody makes a big deal about James Harden led the league in assists. The Harden giving the ball to Embiid was the most prolific combination in the entire league. Harden led the league in assists because he plays with Joel Embiid, and Joel Embiid is a better three-level scorer than the other two. You can close with Embiid. Yeah. That's an important aspect for me. The games are won in the last minute. It's why I will go to my grave saying that Kobe Bryant was a more important player than Shaquille O'Neal on those championship teams. Because Shaq could dominate for the first 46 minutes. You couldn't have him on the floor or give him the ball in the last two because he couldn't make free throws.
Well, that goes back to my theory that there's no great movie ever with a bad ending. Ever.
That's true.
You can have a story arc that's a little weird in the middle. There's never been a great movie. You're like, what a bad ending.
Yeah.
The knock on Shaq was Duncan for early parts of his career. Yep. Get him out of there with 3.5 minutes left.
Yep. It's why the value of Manu Ginobili was often undersold, because he was the guy, even more so than Tony Parker, was the guy that you went to at the end of the games. He's the guy that you put the ball in his hands. And you can do that with Embiid. So look, I mean, anybody who's gonna stump for Giannis, Emmanuel Acho was still trying to convince me. My ballot's already in. He's still trying to convince me why Giannis was the MVP. Or Jokic. This was the first year up until the All-Star break. I had Jokic at the top of my ballot because I didn't vote for him the last 2 years. So for me, it wasn't an issue of he's going to win 3 in a row. This arguably was his best year. It just wasn't, for me, it wasn't as good as Embiid overall. He was dominant on more nights than the other two.
Okay, I don't do Clipper topics, but I am fascinated by this team because expectations high. impatient billionaire. Kawhi's different. I think Paul George is underrated. So I think it's a bad matchup. I think Phoenix is going to roll them. Chris Paul and Kevin Durant took some time off. They're rested. They're ready to go. I think one of the reasons it worked is KD's the perfect plug-and-play guy. The second reason it worked, he's exactly what they needed, which was length defensively and a shot maker who didn't need the ball. So I think the Suns are going to roll. And I think it's fascinating. First of all, do you believe Phoenix rolls the Clippers?
No. I believe Clippers are capable of winning that series.
Woo!
Yeah.
No rim protector. Who's the shot creator?
Ivica Zubac. What? He plays well against Ayton. And you can say, well, who's going to guard Kevin Durant? Who's going to guard Kawhi Leonard? He came on. And if I look at the difference between the benches, that's really what it's going to come down to. I'm with you on the concern about who's going to be the playmaker. But I could say the same with the Phoenix Suns and Chris Paul. Chris Paul offensively can still get the ball where it needs to go. Defensively, teams are targeting him now.
Yes, he's a little older.
And so I just, again, I think the matchups are interesting. Now, I'm off the Clippers. The Clippers and the Bucks were my pick for the finals.
And you're off the Clippers.
They're too immature.
I'm going Bucks, Suns, and the Bucks win.
Bucks, Suns, and the Suns.
And then
the Bucks win?
Yes, but this is the last year. They got to move on. They're getting old.
Yeah.
They're getting old. There are nights and times you watch them, they're unathletic. So this is the last year. It's like Miami the last year. You're like, Battier, Mike Miller, Ray Allen. You're like, D. Wade couldn't play back-to-backs very effectively. It's like they're getting really old. This is Milwaukee's. It's constituted now, constructed. Yeah. This is their last for this group. Then you got to make, because like Middleton's not the same player. Ingles averaging 7 a game.
Right.
Jay Crowder's a 3-and-D guy, but like 3 years ago to today, not the same player. You got to move off this team.
Brooke Lopez is going to get paid, and then he's not going to. Okay. I mean, he's been fantastic this year.
Okay, so I am a believer in the Suns. So J-Mac was not a believer in KD. You're not really a believer in him.
Just because I don't think he's the greatest player in the history of basketball doesn't mean I'm
not
a believer.
Are you one of these guys critical of KD?
No.
No, Rick just criticizes LeBron.
You know what he is? I'll say this. Here's what's interesting.
Yeah.
KD's got a little Phil Mickelson. We know in LeBron's great years he's not the same.
Interesting.
We know he's not like we know Tiger's better than Phil. But Tiger's last 7 years have been sad.
Yeah.
Phil took the live money. That's the best he's looked. If you're finishing second at the Masters, that's the world's best golfers, and he had
he can still play.
And you're like, what if his next 5 years he wins the U.S. Open, PGA Championship again? He wins Phil's ending nicely. Here's my thing with Durant. We understand now Durant doesn't play 82, and it's okay. We're all good with that. I mean, if I bought that team and I bring him in, I'm like, dude, I want you for 60. Play the home games. I don't care about the road.
Yeah.
Bottom line is, if he can stay healthy, this Phoenix thing's for KD. Golden State's getting a little old. Clippers are dysfunctional. Lakers are going to break this thing up. We don't trust Denver. You just don't trust this Phoenix thing.
I don't, because, one, they have no bench, and they gave up a ton of assets to get Durant.
Yeah,
I don't see how they get better going forward.
Because they have Kevin Durant.
Okay, but he's 34, 35 years old.
I'm 58 or 9. I'm bringing heat every day. Listen, our president may be in the next term 86 or something. That's it. Like, everybody's banging on old people. By the way, who's the only guy that gets people into a theater? 60-year-old Tom Cruise. Who was the best player on the floor last night? 109-year-old LeBron James. Hey, you guys are all banging on old guys. Yesterday, he reduced Dr. J to a role player in the ABA.
You know what? KD, I fell upon the Expendables. Have you seen that? Expendables has every old action star you could possibly want, including Sly Stallone, right? It is what a horrific movie. Just because they were once good and they have big names. And I'm not look, I love Stallone movies.
You don't buy. Let's go back to Kevin Durant.
Yes.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
I think
it's not Kevin Durant. By the way, it's not Kevin Durant that I don't believe in with the Suns. It's everything else.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on Devin Booker and stepping up in the place of Chris Paul. Like, who's the leader of that team? Because Chris Paul has reached his expiration date.
Time out.
Like, he won't be. I would be shocked if he's on that team next year.
Okay, that's fine. I don't need him on the team next year. I need him now.
Who's?
Well, you make a move.
Oh, no, wait a minute. But you were saying that you believe in the Suns now
I
and
believe
moving
in Monty
forward.
Williams. I believe in Kevin
Going
Durant.
forward. Like, you believe that they're going to be like
if
next.
I get DeAndre Ayton, Kevin Durant, Monty Williams, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, maybe his last year. Maybe Chris Paul comes back last year of the contract, you're like, we need you to play 52 games. Make him in the home ones. Don't ever play. Don't play back to backs. I don't know. His toughness and leadership and smarts is hard to duplicate.
I don't have a problem saying that they have a shot at winning it this year. I'm leaning Golden State right now to come out of the West.
Oh boy.
But Phoenix, this is Phoenix's last best chance. I'd say the same for Golden State. One of those teams is going to grab.
Listen, this owner for Phoenix, he's going to go over the salary cap. He's going to do a Joe Lacob.
Yeah, but you know what? But the new collective bargaining agreement penalizes teams for going over the cap in a way that they have not previously.
Like how?
In that you just can't, like the Warriors would not have had the wherewithal to sign Dante DiVincenzo.
Dante DiVincenzo is not going to play in the playoffs if Gary Payton's playing big minutes.
But Dante was an important part of the. No, you know what? I disagree. Dante is an important part of this team.
I like him, but he's not. Where are his minutes in the playoffs?
But those again, if you're talking about winning championships, it's not your first 3 players. It's not your 4 players. It's like, how good are your 7th and 8th players?
Oh, those guys don't matter.
Those guys matter if you're talking about winning championships. You know that. We're going to have a deeper discussion about this over dinner.
Okay. What are you doing tonight?
I don't know. I might be busy, but I'll see. I got to talk to my people.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.